Hello, everybody. Suzanne Kellner-Zinck from Dawning Visions Hypnosis, and today I want to attack a very serious issue that we are having in the world of mental health, mainly helping anorexic and bulimic patients heal and move on in life. You see, the way that it's currently done does not work. There's a 95% failure rate. Many of these patients who go to treatment programs, both in and outpatient, feel like they are being treated like prisoners in so many ways. They're not allowed to choose the foods that they want to eat. They are not allowed to have their cell phones. Their rights are basically taken away for their safety, quote unquote. And many are forced to participate in 12-step programs that have nothing to do with their issues. If they don't have substance abuse issues, what the hell are they doing with people with substance abuses in 12-step programs? I am not denying the fact that eating disorders is a form of addiction. However, if you're going to do a 12-step program, have it aimed toward their problem, not somebody else's. Just common sense, folks. But this is another problem with treatment programs. Anorexic and bulimic patients are known for being in competition and how they can drop the most weight and basically destroy their bodies the fastest. So why the hell would you want to have them with other people with the same problem? They feed off of one another in the most toxic of ways. Another reason why these programs fail over and over again. And I just found out, I don't know, maybe a week ago from a gentleman in New York who helped his wife overcome anorexia. The guy is a mechanic, for God's sakes. That the average cost for a treatment program in the United States is $15,000 a month for 95% or more failure rate. Tell me how that makes any sense, folks. It really doesn't. I'm going to tell you how you help people heal from these horrid, deadly illnesses, because that's what they are. First of all, you can't heal somebody by telling them they're wrong and that they're doing everything wrong in the first place. That only destroys them, especially the fragile anorexics. You need to help them understand that they are worthy of love, self-love, first and foremost. Because the words that they use when they describe themselves most often in my practice is they self-loathe. L-O-A-T-H-E. If someone loathes themselves, they're not going to feel worthy of doing anything constructive to help themselves. So that's the first problem. The second problem is that symptoms of the eating disorder is not the problem. The problem is why they're not eating or why they're binging and purging. Why are they doing these things? Well, it's a form of self-soothing, along with cutting in some cases. So we need to find out what we need to heal to stop these behaviors. And what we need to heal is the emotional traumas that they've been dealing with since childhood, where they had to be perfect, or they might get yelled at because they had some alcoholic or depressive parent who is running their life, or maybe even an anorexic mother. I've had several clients who had anorexic mothers and had some pretty weird ways of keeping food away from their anorexic daughters. I had one client years ago who told me the story of going into the pop tent to eat her mom's yogurt so she wouldn't be caught, because it was a no-no, even though her mother never ate anything. Well, enough to stay alive, but not much more. Pretty fascinating if you think about it. Second thing we need to do is we need to help them understand that they can have a life much better without these symptoms. But they're so scared to be anything but anorexic or bulimic because it's their identity. It's all they know. They're fearful of finding out who they are without the disorder. So through the hypnotic arts, we're able to help them go into a beautiful, relaxed, hypnotic trance state and figure out what they'd like for their lives. Self-love, self-respect, being able to stop people from using and abusing them, for them to stop being resentful of other people for not being perfect, being okay being perfectly imperfect. And how about having a healthy relationship with themselves and then others? How about having work that's meaningful to them? How about actually find out what the hell the hobbies are that they once enjoyed that they forgot about because they've been sick so many years? They don't even recall having any hobbies. how about being contented, functional, productive, fulfilled human beings? How about that? Instead of managing the symptoms that don't matter in the first place, because you can't manage them if you don't understand what's causing them. And that's the problem. And I'm here to tell you hypnotic techniques work. And I'm also here to tell you that I train people in a 3-day VIP program, all done online, to train people in how to help their patients. Holistically, no drugs necessary. They get in the way of the treatment anyway. And how to help them. Bulimics take about 6 months, anorexics about 8 months, my experience. And then they never think about it again. What a thought. You never knew that was possible, did you? Because your clinical training and your paradigm of healing has nothing to do with healing. It has to do with continuing the problem and managing symptoms. Because you never learned how to do hypnosis. Because there's this gentleman called Sigmund Freud who never learned how to do hypnotism. So he created this thing called psychoanalysis. And psychoanalysis, you have to go week after week after week for the rest of your life. And you dredge up the same problems over and over and over again in your prefrontal cortex, which makes people angry and upset. And then we wonder why people don't heal. Because healing isn't about learning why you have the problem. Healing is getting rid of the problem. Yes, getting rid of the problem. That's called healing. In mental health, the main problem is that doesn't exist. Manage it with drugs, many of them that haven't really been tested long enough or well enough, with a lot of lies and marketing behind them. The diagnosis to sell them. That's why the DSM went from, slightly over 100 diagnoses in 1957 to almost 300 currently in the latest rendition, which pathologicalized every single normal human emotion to sell drugs. How sick is that? And then you wonder why you have a sick society in America. I don't live in America. I chose to live in a country where loving families and people create friendships based on mutual respect and mutual love and interest in one another. Even when we don't speak the same language. Google Translate goes far here in Albania, which I've made my home for 2+ years now, for that very reason. And it is our responsibility, if we call ourselves healers, to help our patients and clients heal, not manage symptoms. If you'd like to learn more about how you can learn how to do this, just message me and I will send you a link where you can set up a free consultation call, because I don't actually know how to do it on this live stream. It's the first time I'm doing a live stream on YouTube. But I do love live streaming. I've done plenty of them on my Facebook page over the years. So I hope I helped to reframe your thinking and how to actually help these folks. Most of them teenagers and younger. It is the #1 killer of our 12 to 24-year-olds, with more males being affected differently than the females. In their case, they like to build muscle, although there are some few who do end up with restricting diets in order to just have thin bodies like women do, but they're a minority. So understanding these differences also helps us to understand how to help them better. All right. As always, I thank you for spending your time with me. Till next time. Bye-bye.